Good one though. You got to admit it.
That was good. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How come that's not going through my headphones?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Mike.
So it's 8 o'clock, but we're going to give everybody just a few minutes to get themselves in. We had a conference call about 2 weeks ago on launching the Junior Elks, and we started just a few minutes after 8, and that put us up to 50 people. We're expecting probably anywhere from 20 to 30 on this one, so which is a really great number. So thank you, everyone, for giving up their Wednesday night to attend. So give us a couple minutes and then we'll get going, okay?
Sure. Let's bring my cameras turned off.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be right back, Mike.
Hello, John.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
All doing great. How are things with you?
Good.
Excellent. So you're coming down to see us in November?
Yep.
Excellent. Good stuff.
Yeah, I should be arriving about the 10th in time
Okay,
for the
nice.
meeting.
Okay.
Must have a big camera in his.
It's so close to it.
Okay. So the 10th will be our meeting, John.
Yep.
Yep, at 7 o'clock.
Yep, I'll be there.
Okay, gotcha.
You didn't ask if you're free and Shelley.
So, Kev, if you're good, I think I'm ready to go because we're going to record this as well, just so everybody's aware. You're okay, Kev?
Good to go, buddy.
Okay, perfect. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome every single one of you. And I see a lot of names that I recognize. And so we really appreciate you giving up your Wednesday night. And it shows a true commitment to Elkdom and learning this new application. So a little bit of background. So for those that don't know me, my name is Michael Hutchison and I chair the Finance Committee. I don't really like the title of chair for anybody that knows me. It's any of the committees that we're a part of, we work collectively. So I want to acknowledge the committee last year because these people put in a ton of time. And for anybody that knows our team, we're pretty demanding on ourselves. So last year, I was on the committee. Kevin Macbeth was on the committee as well. He's our gem at Grand Lodge that does more than you could ever imagine. He's probably going to give me a signal here to zip it in a minute, but you got to give credit where credit's due. And the accountability with this committee is bar none, and Kevin keeps us on task with that. Last year and for many years before that, we had the great Annie Reed, who is just a wealth of knowledge. You hear about Miles wearing the Elks on his arm with all of his tattoos and his caring history for the Elks, but Annie's a whole new level of care when it comes to the fund for children. We also had Darren Stevens, who was on the Grand Executive, and Christine Penny. So this team worked really, really well. For this year, the committee is comprised again of myself and Kevin, and Christine Penny is on our committee as well. Gord Moon is our representative from the Grand Executive, and we have Leahy Barzili, and she's a member at large, but has a direct connection to hearing and audiology. So we've got another great team. So one of the things that we really wanted to focus on, and it's taken a fair bit of time, was this Fund for Children application. So when we looked at this Fund for Children application, as many of you are aware, this was a 20 to 23 page document that basically asked for everything imaginable except a urine sample and a blood test. It was an onerous application, and you know, some of you guys are laughing because we've done it. We've done it, right? I'll tell you on a personal connection on why. So number one, we don't criticize what's been done in the past. We think that the previous application, while not perfect, it helped and gave out millions and millions of dollars across this country. I'll tell you, it was more of a personal thing in conversations with Annie and with Kevin and Christine. Guys, we put ourselves in the position of these families. And when these families were filling in that application, it's an onerous task. And we joke saying we asked for everything, you know, except a urine sample and a blood test. But literally, guys, that's what we asked for. We asked for everything except those two items. And so on a personal note, I really took that application to heart. Fortunately, with my work, you know, my daughter is back and forth to sick kids in Toronto for basically the last 4 or 5 years. And it's a great expense. And I have to tell you, I sat down and I completed that original Fund for Children application. And it hurt my heart for the fact that families are going through so much, and the application was so financial oriented. It hurt my heart that a family had to go through so much and then literally, you know, work on this application, which in itself was a mission. For those that don't know, I have a financial and legal background. So it took me to fill in that application completely and accurately, guys. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes. Okay. So the committee of last year basically moved forward with 3 goals. And the goal was to look at that application and, number one, have compassion for the families. We wanted to make sure whatever changes we made were in the best interest of the families. Number two, we wanted our application process to show a willingness to help families. Our goal was not to find a reason to deny. Our goal was to find a reason to help. Okay. And our third reason, and this is where the due diligence comes in, is to meet the regulatory requirements. So again, we undertook this initiative with, number one, to have the compassion for the families that are doing this application. Number two, show our willingness to help and try to get families approved, not denied. And number three, to meet our due diligence or our regulatory requirements. Okay. So from the regulatory requirements, as a registered charity, you have to meet certain conditions. But at the same time, we have over 7,000 members from over 200 lodges across the country that this committee answers to, right? So in making sure we check the boxes with the regulatory, we needed as well. The Elks of Canada and our members have a whole new level of regulatory, right? When they ask questions, right? So we wanted to be able to answer everything. So with those 3 things in mind, we have launched an application that really focuses on the compassion. Families with kids with disabilities, with hearing impairments, kids with cancer. These families have a story to tell, and they really want to paint the picture. And so this new application gives these families the ability to paint the picture, consolidate the information through strong analytics behind the scenes, and give us not only all the information that we would get from the original application, but in our opinion, we feel that we can get 150% of the information with a more condensed, accurate application than with the previous 20 to 23 pages. So the purpose of this call, and we again appreciate each and every one of you for being on this call, is to learn about the application, to learn why we made choices, and to show you that the compassion and the willingness to help families is at the forefront of this application. So what I would ask you, as we are recording this entire session, I would ask you that if you have a pen and paper handy and you see something that you have a question, please write that question down. As anybody knows, with any conference call or Zoom call that I host, we will stay on here until every question, right? You've given up your time, so we're answering all the questions. We would just ask you to hold your questions until the end, because we're going to record this in the manner that it can be posted for other members across the country that want to see this video on how to do the application. We will still record your questions, but they will be at the end, okay? So without further ado, let's take a look at the application. So Kevin, if you could put up page 1. So this is the cover page of our application. Our focus is on kids with hearing impairments. So what better than to have a sweetheart with her cochlear implant right on the front of our application. So you'll see when we talked about our number 1 initiative to have compassion for the families, you're going to see this throughout. Okay, so page number 1 is simple. Page number 2 is a simple introduction about the Elks and Royal Purple Fund for Children. This is very straightforward, but you'll find that these straightforward, concise messages go hand in hand with the booklet that we just released at convention. And so for those of you who have not seen our 10-page booklet about the Fund for Children, please feel free to reach out to Kevin or I, and we'd love to get those in your hands. But it's self-explanatory, that introduction, and it's simple, it's concise, and it shows compassion. Page 3. If you guys remember, there was this whole big long page. It was almost like a book. So Kevin has narrowed this down through strong analytics, a clean, concise, step-by-step process, not a lot of verbal diarrhea. It is right to the point. It's clean and concise. So this is the roadmap on how our process works. Okay, so that's all self-explanatory. Lodge information. A lodge has to support an application when it comes in. If we receive an application that's not supported by a lodge, we'll extend that back to a lodge within the area. Section A, again, it's kept simple. The information is similar to the original application, but again, it's set up in a format that is clean, concise, very professional, and it's also set up in a manner with boxes that you'll see throughout our application. Boxes give people the ability to put the information in there, and when you make boxes a little bit larger, such as where Kevin's tab is right there, the date of the application, you leave a lot of space so people can write, they can type, they can do whatever they need to do. But the size of the boxes are consistent so that we're not asking families to write us a whole book. We're not leaving 10 lines so that we expect them to write a book. Give us the information that they feel is necessary. So you can see this is just the start of that process. So the lodge information and funding information is very straightforward. The next page is lodge declaration. Again, this is a requirement as a result of us being a registered charity. And with the funding for the Fund for Children comes from the lodges and comes from the members. We have had someone that turned around and said, but you guys got a nice big donation from South Vancouver, 55. We so appreciate that donation. But at the end of the day, that came from the members of South Vancouver. So with the fact that our primary funding source for the Fund for Children is our membership, this is the lodge declaration and a contact person from the lodge. So very clean, very concise. So Kev, if you want to continue on. Section B, family information. So this section keeps it simple. Parent 1, parent 2, contact number, mailing address, email, okay? Some basic questions, and you'll see that we've intentionally left those questions. What was your income in the previous year? What is your estimated income in the current year? We've made it so that in the previous application, it had a lot of room for interpretation. So often we would have to go back and verify this or verify that. These questions are very simple, and these questions are set up in the manner that you can answer some of these things with 1 or 2 words or one number. Okay. Next part down, do you have medical benefits through your workplace? Right. So again, very simple things. Okay. So let's go to the next page, page 7. We really like this page. So this comes from our research, and a little bit it comes from our analytics, but it really comes from our research that when a family is trying to get support for a child in need, they really want to tell you the story, and they really want to paint you a picture. So what often happens, everyone, is when we receive these applications, we get these big, long cover letters, right? And it shows, the family wants to provide us with more information with these applications. What we wanted to do is provide that extra assistance to the family and let them tell us a story and help us kind of narrow things down. So part number 2 is your child information. I'm requesting assistance for, right at the top. They put their name in. And then you can see our verbiage. We would love to learn about your son or daughter and how we might help you and your family. Okay. So just some different questions: the date of birth, summary of medical conditions, medical diagnosis, day-to-day care needed or treatment. What is the cost of the day-to-day care or treatment needed? And when government, that should be what? Yeah. So what government funding do you receive or are you able to apply for? Okay. So again, this is really giving the families the ability to paint the picture for us. But at the same time, in getting the family to paint the picture, if you read those questions over a couple times, everyone, you can really see that if we had all these questions answered from every application, we wouldn't have to go back to better understand the family's needs, right? This would really paint that picture. So this page is very clean and concise. It's about the child, mom and dad, mama, mom, dad, and dad. They can paint the picture for us. Okay. Page 8, Kev. And so this is just a little bit of a follow-up from that one. It just says, of the costs listed above, what will your private benefits cover? And we've always said, if any, okay, because we have to ask the question on benefits. But we don't want someone to feel that if they have no benefits, they're going to get more or less. So we've always made it, we ask the question, if any, okay? The next question is, have you applied for support through another organization? And there's another one, Kevin. It should say, if so, and there's 2 whats. If so, what was the outcome? And how much is expected or received from the outside organization? Okay. And then when is the funding required? So there's a page and a half of the family to paint us a picture. We've also let them know that should our questions not paint enough of a picture, or a family feels that it's necessary, we've encouraged them to provide, a cover letter or something else to the application. Okay. So that's page 8. So page 8, you're already 2/3 of the way through this application. So thinking about that, we had our intro, a nice little concise step-by-step, the lodge support, and 2 pages of us tell us about your family. Okay. This page number 8 that we're on now is part 3. It's the required documents. Okay. So any type of information that the family already has. And so these are not things that the family is going to have to go out and source. Often they already have estimates of costs of treatment. They already have medical specialist confirmations. They already have this when they're coming for support. The 2 extra things that they're going to need is their notice of assessment. And that is because that gives us the ability to verify income for 2 years as per our CRA requirements. And number 5 is the family planning document at the end of this package. Okay. So moving on to the next thing, the financial part of this old application, everyone, was 4 or 5 pages. Okay. So we have really streamlined this 4 or 5 pages of financial questions into basically 2.5 pages. So we've cut it in half and we've done it efficient and effectively. And so when you look at this, this is where the analytics behind the scenes on what information is relevant, what information are people willing to share, and what information makes the families not feel that this process is onerous or too invasive. So we've asked them to give us a summary of their home expenses, their vehicle, and their personal expenses. And what we're trying to paint the picture for our due diligence is to understand how this situation with their son or daughter is affecting them financially. And so we took what is normally a family budget that is close to 41 items, and what you have in front of you is what we've come up with. Okay. So it gives us all the information necessary to look at it from a financial standpoint when it comes to month budgeting. So there are many things that we could ask, but you guys can see it gives us, what are your home expenses? What are your vehicle expenses? What are some of your other personal expenses? And we've left 3 other lines because different families in different parts of the country have different needs. And so something that may be a need in Ontario may be drastically different out in Newfoundland, which may be different in BC or Manitoba or Saskatchewan. We don't know. So we've left it up to the family. If there's some extra things that they feel is necessary to tell us, then the space is there. Okay. So what used to be a couple-page budget is down to that summary right there. If we go on to the next page, so again, 5 to 6 pages of financial data is compressed into 2 pages. So this second page is the family assets and the family income. Okay. And so it's set up in such a simple manner that parent 1 can list their assets, parent 2 can list their assets, and then the family income. And we even put an extra chart in there just for them to list the expenses from the previous page and give us, funds left over at the end of month or shortfall. So, and you can see, so those are our 2 financial pages. So we've gone from 5.5 to 6 pages down to 2 on the financials. Okay. And from someone that comes from a financial and legal background, so far with that information, everyone, I'm able to not only give you 100% of the information that you had on the original application, I can actually give you 150% of the information, simply because with this, we started out the application, as we said, with compassion. Tell us a story about your kids, right? We're not making the application onerous, showing them a willingness to help, right? Yet we're still meeting all those regulatory requirements. So we've set it up also in the event of parent 1 and parent 2 being in separate households. So maybe parent 1 doesn't communicate with parent 2 on a financial side, and their only communication is in regards to their son or daughter who needs help. We've set it up so parent 1 or parent 2 can complete this section either on the same application, or if there's something that's pushing them apart, parent 1 could complete the financial part on their own, and parent number 2 could complete the financial part on their own, and we ourselves will pull that data together. So the application is not only adapting, it's focusing on exactly what the child's needs are, and we are eliminating those barriers from 2 parents in a family to one parent somewhere else that don't get along. There's no excuse now, because this application can work for anybody. So we're really happy with that being really streamlined. And I know so many of you have thought that application, it's just, there's so much information there. Guys, I'm able to get 100% of the information I want, plus more out of this. Okay. And so what we have is page number 12. And page number 12 is what we call as our family planning document. Okay. And this is just a really great piece, because often when we're sitting there on our From for Children calls and we're reviewing applications, we always question, Christine might have a question or Annie might have a question, and we battle on different things. And we don't battle because we're trying to deny, we battle because we're trying to understand more. So the committee came up with this document, and this is what we call our family planning. What funds do I need to help my child? Okay. The funding my child needs is, please provide the total. So let's say I needed $10,000 to help my child. Okay. So I'm going to put that there. The funds I receive from the federal or provincial programs are and you would list it over there. So you subtract that. So the first thing we're saying is you need 10,000. Okay, what are you getting from your federal or provincial government, if any? If the amount's zero, fine. At least we've answered that question. The next one, the funds I will receive from parent one or parent two private benefits are. Okay, so maybe I've got my $10,000 that I really need from my provincial program. I'm able to get $1,000 in support. And what will I receive from parent one and two? Well, maybe I'm going to receive $1,000. Okay, so you list that. The funds I will or have received from other not-for-profit or charitable organizations are. So maybe I've got funding of $2,000 from someone else, right? But you see, automatically, I needed 10,000. I've disclosed what I'm getting from my federal provincial government. I've disclosed what us parents can do. I've also disclosed what I've gotten from other charitable organizations. The next question is the funds I will receive or plan to receive from fundraising activities in my community are. So we expect in many cases, everyone, for this number to be zero, okay? Because, maybe someone hasn't thought of that. But the whole point is that the requests that we're getting in the Fund for Children, and as you've probably seen within your lodge, guys, they're not getting smaller, they're getting larger. So the point of the funds I receive or plan to receive from fundraising activities in my community are, we're trying to fire something back at the family and say, hey, have you ever thought about hosting a fundraiser? If the number is zero, fine, but at least there's a thought there. And you think about situations where, we've had different requests at the Fund for Children for medical vans. We've had requests for transportation. We had a request in North Bay that the Fund for Children helped a little boy who had cochlear implants but was also born without ears. And so we helped him get his first set of prosthetic ears. And in North Bay, we actually helped them fundraise because it was a $7,000 expense. So this question is kind of to entice some thought, okay? The next one, the funds I expect to receive or have received from friends or family. Okay, and last, this is the total funds that I like to request for assistance from the Elks and Royal Purple Fund for Children. So you can see with this document, on behalf of the Charities Committee, we've been able to answer every one of our questions. Are you getting funding from the federal provincial government? Yes or no? Are you getting money from mom or dad from benefits? Yes or no? Has some other charity helped you? Yes or no? Have you done any fundraising? Yes or no? Do you expect to receive money from friends and family? So just in that scenario where if I had gotten support in a couple areas, my net request that started out at 10,000 all of a sudden came down to 6,000 because I fully disclosed the other areas that I'm getting support. Okay, so we call this our family planning document for two reasons. Number one, everyone, it checks the box on the analytics that we're trying to get in making sure that we do our due diligence as stewards of the Fund for Children money. Number two, it's putting the onus on the family in the spirit of full disclosure, but also in a situation that there's a large expense that the family needs to cover. Have you thought about a fundraising activity, right? So it's to create that thought, that discussion, but behind the scenes, everyone, it helps us meet our disclosure requirements on behalf of the Fund for Children. So going to the next page, mom and dad sign and they submit it. Okay. So what used to be 20 to 23 pages, 5 to 6 pages of financials, multiple budgets, everything else goes down to 2 pages of financials, 2 pages is telling about your son or daughter, and a 1-page checklist. Everything else is a signature and introduction page. So the Fund for Children and this committee, as well as the committee last year, feels that this application shows that compassion for the families. It shows our willingness to help. We want to help you. And our family document is the testament. Our family planning document is the testament to that. And last but not least, it meets all the regulatory requirements from the charitable side of the organization. So, Kev, if we can go back to the group view. So as everybody can see, that application is set up where it's 12 pages start to finish. you've got 5 pages of important data, and everything else is what's required, the introduction, the lodge signing off. So I started out by telling you that it was a personal mission for this committee to really focus on that application. I have to tell you, it took me an hour and 45 minutes. And like I said, everything but a blood test and a urine sample. Guys, this application start to finish, if I was filling it into requests for support for my daughter and her transportation and her needs, guys, it took me 20 minutes start to finish, right? And that's with me painting the picture. And what was really nice about it being done in 20 minutes is about 12 minutes of it was telling you about Brooklyn, right? And what she had gone through. 8 minutes was the financials that I will admit I had to even check with my wife on some things. So even with me getting some verification there, 20 minutes, I did not feel like the application was invading my privacy. I felt like the application was fair. And I have to tell you, the committee did a great job on that last page, because you think of everyone sitting here, that last page where we're confirming if you got government funding, we're confirming if you got benefits, we're confirming if other people in your family, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, maybe they've thrown some money into the kitty. And we've also encouraged the family, hey, if this is a big expense, maybe you do a fundraising or, and the point there as well is that you as a lodge, when you're looking at that application, if you see a request for 25,000 and the family has nothing there beside a fundraising activity, let's all face it, between the Fund for Children and your lodge, funding 25,000 is going to be difficult. But you want to know what? It creates that conversation. Maybe that applicant says, hey, is there a way to do a fundraising? Or you yourself look at that application and say, look, this 25 is really high. It's going to be hard for us to do that, but let's see if we can help you in another way. Okay. So what I want to do is open it up to any questions on that application. There's a few grammatical errors that it doesn't matter how many times you read the darn thing over, you're going to find it. So that's on me. So we will take care of that. Christine's smiling because we read this thing like 50 times, Christine, right? So maybe we just get so excited that 23 pages came down to really your family filling in 5 pages. Maybe that's our excitement. So let's start with Colleen.
Colleen, you're on mute.
Yeah, unmute yourself, Colleen,
There you
and
go.
go ahead.
Yep. I've got a couple of questions. On page 10 of the application, equity line, what does that mean?
So let's pull it back up. That way I can explain it to you exactly.
Okay, 1 second. I just turned it off. So I'll move it over. Give me 1 sec. Move.
I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're asking, Colleen, but I'm going to pull it up that way. Your question, it might answer a question for someone else.
Okay, it's up, buddy.
Okay. Which one were you asking?
Equity line.
Okay. So what happens is, in that case, Colleen, the first one is mortgage or rent. We were going to call it line of credit or something like that. But essentially the equity line is some people don't have a mortgage. So instead they have equity in their house. So their mortgage is through an equity line. So the nice thing about that, Colleen, is if you had a mortgage, you would know what a mortgage is. If you didn't have a mortgage, but you had an equity line, you know what it was. And so where that comes from some of the analytics. And when it comes to you either have mortgage, rent, or equity line, or those numbers are all zero because you don't have a mortgage, right? So it's one of those things that even if you didn't know what it was, if someone's got it, they know what it is.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. So if I had a mortgage, but say I'd already paid off half of the mortgage that was originally gotten, that half would be equity in the
No, so
mortgage?
we're not asking for the equity line. So if you had a house that was 500,000 and you had a mortgage of 250, what we're
Mhm.
asking is the mortgage of 250 and what your payment is. Most people wouldn't have, well, some people would have a mortgage and an equity line, but we're not asking for what your equity is in the house. That's an
Okay.
expense line, yeah. Because you'll see down below on the next page, Kev, if you want to go to the next page, right? So you'll see right there, primary residence, please list mortgage on property, right? So if someone had a primary residence of 500,000 and a mortgage of 250, we would see it there.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think, Michael, if you changed it to equity line of credit, that might explain it better.
Okay. Kev, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Next, on the page that's being shown, page 12, the private benefits, is that refer to the, say, supplementary health insurance that a person might have, Blue Cross, Canada Life, that kind of stuff?
It is, it is. And so what you'll see, Colleen, is a very good question. You'll see that early on in the application, we asked someone if they had benefits, right?
Yep.
And we don't go into a heavy detail on, so it says on page 6, it says, do you have medical benefits through your place of work? If so, please provide details of funds available. Okay. So what they're doing is they're going to, so say I had $1,000 in hearing aids for my son or daughter. So yes, I have benefits. I have up to 1,000. Okay. So when we go down to page 12, you see what page 12 essentially is. Kev, if you can scroll to page 12, what 12 is basically the family's going to take that $1,000 that they had in benefits, and they're going to put it in here as the third one down. The funds I will receive from parent 1 or parent 2 private benefits are the $1,000, right?
Yeah.
So,
And if Mike, if I can just jump in real quick too,
Yeah.
we do, I wouldn't say it's quite often, but it's not like it happens enough that it behooves, needing a line like this where we'll have a conversation with an applicant, and we'll say, what do you have any benefits? And if you do, what, are you eligible for? And people will just be like, oh, I didn't realize that I could, that there might be benefits that are, at work, or my benefits at work could cover a portion of this. So it's another, like to Mike's point, it's just another sort of like reminder of, oh, okay, there is other options here. And if I don't have them, that's fine. But if I do, then at least they've answered the question, right? Or they looked into it and answered the question.
yeah.
And lastly, are the applicants required to submit any supporting documentation? Bank
Sure.
statements, hydro bills, all that supporting documentation.
So, and it's a very good question, Colleen. So the answer is yes, but we're not going to request information that isn't necessary. Okay. So essentially what happens is this application requires this full document to be completed. It requires an estimate of the costs, medical substantiation of the needs for those medical treatments, the 2 years of notice of assessment. Okay. And the 2 years of notice of assessment is a vital document because it provides me with a couple things when we're reviewing that. And our committee is really focused on these notice of assessments. From a notice of assessment, I can verify the income, and we ask for 2 years. The other thing is with the notice of assessment towards the bottom, everybody has an RSP contribution and it shows there. And through that RSP, I'm actually able to extrapolate a third year of data out of that. Okay. So with 2 years of notice assessments, I can get 3 years of data. And so asking for a hydro bill and a heat bill, we think that is being, so we do ask that to be disclosed under the home expenses.
Right. Yeah.
But if you think about it, if someone's going to say their water bill's $100, who the hell am I to question them? Do you know what I mean? And so we really are looking at trying to help people get support. So if we find a discrepancy, Colleen, if I find a discrepancy in income, I got to tell you, this committee, we want to help, but we will not put our due diligence aside, right? So we've really focused on verifying that income, showing the family we want to help, and getting them to disclose these numbers. If we've seen something that was crazy, and Colleen, we've seen everything you could ever imagine, But if we seen something that was, a $1,500 expense, we have every right to ask for additional information. But we kind of put ourselves in everybody's shoes when we're looking at these applications. So if we seen heat in a winter month at $250 a month, some people would say that's a good deal, right? Other people might say, well, they got to fix their furnace. But at the end of the day, you have Annie from Echo Bay from last year, Christine, Newfoundland to Alberta. You have Kev. So we're all in different areas of the country. So that's where we kind of rely on ourselves for validation on that. So we don't ask for things that become an excessive chore, but we do ask for the disclosure. And there's a certain level of honesty that comes into these applications.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good questions. If we can go back to the group view, Kev.
Yeah, guys,
You might want to keep that there just in case there's other questions.
I will for sure.
Oh, oh,
Go ahead, Guy.
I have one question I wrote down. You said write it down. I wrote it down. And we were approached by a speech and hearing pathologist that looks after all the kids on our border in Manitoba. And she said she needed about $4,000 to help 5 kids. And what I didn't even know this existed. She needed computers that speak for them because they can't speak. But I don't know if does each family would have to fill out this form. I imagine, is that number one? Yes.
So the short answer is yes, and the reason why, Guy, is because certain benefits programs across the country do provide support for things like iPads and talkback systems and closed caption systems. So are we going to turn away a school or a group that wants to have these resources? No, we'll look at it. But what's important for us on the due diligence side is to make sure that if that's going to be tied to an individual, our kind of comment would be, Guy, we would rather help each one of those 4 or 5 children get the device that they need, not get an institution the device that they need when they're with that institution. This committee is focused on helping those kids have a better quality of life, which means when they need that iPad or that assisted device, it's in their hands. So we would much rather, I compliment the audiologist for coming to you and saying you got 4 or 5 kids. I turn around and say, here's 4 or 5 applications. We look forward to getting that back, right? So that I can help along with this committee. We can help all of those families, right? So that's kind of the way we look at it, Guy.
The school does not get the device. It goes to each child individually. It is their computer for life. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, does the check, if there is a check, does it go to the local Elks and then we take it and give it to the family or the speech pathologist?
So the first part of that, with your comment there that the devices are going to the kids, we would want to deal with those children's families directly, right? So that we can get them the support. This committee has really focused on reimbursing the providers. So with an application like that, Guy, it would be followed by a quote from an audiologist or some service provider. And upon an approval of that, now we get many requests, Guy. It could be for 4,000. The lodge says, we're gonna chip in 3,000 for this, right? Or sorry, we're gonna chip in 1,000, and we'd like the Fund for Children to do 3,000. We'll work with the lodge, and we'll either pay to the lodge or pay directly to the service provider. Okay, that's the way we like to do it because it just checks the entire connection. We trust our lodges, and it's not that we don't trust the families. It's just we trust our lodges that you're going to be good stewards of the money, and but outside of that, we send it directly to those providers.
Okay. I'll just finish up with the pathologist. Gave a very good workshop. She gets the computers basically for cost because someone has decided that they need it for cost. And the Manitoba government, you got to wait 2 years for these kids to get that device. And she says 2 years is going to hurt those children terribly. So, so I don't know if the family don't fill it out. Maybe we may do a fundraiser. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's something we can do, Guy, especially because, the thing is that we rely on our lodges and our members to have a passion for something. So if you have a passion for helping that family, then we have a passion for getting you the funds. So there's nothing insurmountable, right? But you can see, especially with the way we do things, there's accountability, there's tracking, and most of all, we're able to help people, right? So you have a passion for it, we do too.
Bob's got his hand up.
Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Bob O'Keefe here. We've had a couple of issues this year with respect to folks who've applied who are not Canadian citizens. Is there some limitation or restriction on this program being available only to Canadian citizens?
So we have certain requirements when it comes to because you got to remember that the Elks and Royal Purple Fund for Children is a charitable organization, right?
Yeah.
So we have requirements that we have to meet. The other thing that we have to take into account, Bob, is that the funds that you may receive in your lodge or Tut may receive in Manitoba, or Annie and I may receive in Ontario, it's collective funds from across the country. And so with those collective funds, the expectation is that they're spent here in Canada for Canadian citizens. I will tell you, we've, and in the spirit of full transparency, we helped a family with a meal plan for a little guy who had a very short life expectancy. And with us helping that family, we feel that we played a role in helping to prolong his life. So it wasn't something that fit exactly in what our normal route was, but we looked at it. So in this case, knowing that the funds came from lodges across the country, we have to do everything in our power to keep it within the country and with Canadian citizens.
Yeah, I understand. I understand
yeah.
that. I guess just to elaborate on that, these people live in Canada, but they're not Canadian citizens. We had a couple of cases where we had one mom and her child, and she was here on a student visa. And there's many of those cases in Vancouver, as you may appreciate, that people are here with no real intention to perhaps reside in Canada. And it seems to me that the medical community know about the program, and they have referred several cases to us of people who are here on student visas, non-Canadian citizens, with the expectation that we will prepare an application for them. And the final point on that, maybe you'll comment on it. Many of these folks do not speak English.
Yeah.
So that, again, is a challenge in itself. And of course, I'm sure you see probably across the country, we're seeing many refugees coming into the country. The medical community know about this program.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you can provide clarification to the medical community so they do not spin their wheels and send us applications that would otherwise not be approved.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's a good point, Bob. And it's really difficult for us because our mandate is to help is to be a not-for-profit organization helping Canadians, right?
Sure.
So, so your point's well taken. You know what? I think the best thing I can tell you is that we got to take it back under advisement and see if there's something we can do. And if there is an organization or someone in a medical community, because we had to do it in Ontario. I had to send a letter, a very nice, polite letter. It was an educational letter on what we do and don't support, because you wouldn't believe the number of requests we're getting here in North Bay. They found my name, Annie's, Kevin's, Christine's, and Darren's on the website because we were on the committee. Well, they sent me this letter, and I've been asked for Darren. I've been asked for everything from walkers to wheelchairs to this to put in community centers, right? So we had to shut it down. So I still have that. So if you could, what I'll do is I'll reach out to you the next day and let's chit chat so that if there's something that we need to shut down, we can do it, because it's a lot of work, because, they'll come to you guys and all of a sudden you're the bad guy because you're not.
That's exactly what happened. So we had one lady, and I took the decision. I turned it down. And, she was quite agitated. She said, well, my doctor said that Elks of Canada will look after this, and I said, well, I can't really speak for your doctor, but, you're not a Canadian citizen. You don't file a tax return here.
Yeah.
You're living here under a temporary work permit. and it's very regrettable about your son having a speech disorder, but I'm afraid we can't help you. You know, maybe you can reach out to your community.
Yeah.
And help. So anyway, she hung up the phone, and that was that. So
Yeah. Well, let's circle back because your comment is well taken, and it's you know, I've kind of got this mentality with this community. If you guys run into barriers or something, let that be our problem, not yours. So let us take that back, Bob, and see because we've seen it happen in pockets, but I do anticipate that it's going to continue to happen. And I appreciate you bringing it up because you know it's going to be one of these situations that down the road, you know, someone's going to be happy with us for you know a policy that protects money and keeps it in Canada. Someone else is going to chastise us. So
I think if the medical community were alerted to the fact that there are limitations on the program, that might help. My final question, Michael.
Yeah.
Is there a maximum limit that you know this program covers?
Sure. So I'm going to pass that back to Kevin,
Of course.
And Kevin can tell you our limits.
Kevin gets the tough questions. I know.
Yeah. So the lifetime maximum is $7,000.
7,000. Okay.
Yeah. And typically we cover $3,500 a year. But if the need is there and if the committee, you know, agrees to, if there's extenuating circumstances, we would consider something, you know, beyond that. So we have had situations where there's been a dire need, or there's been a need for example, like 2 hearing aids, or something along those lines. Like we, you know, I think we sit down and we have the conversation. We can't give you know, a poor child just one hearing aid and just tough it out and we'll get you the next one next year, right? So there are situations where I think the committee will choose to go outside of policy for, you know, certain situations, but the maximum is 7,000.
Thank you.
Yeah. So again, just for those numbers, it's 7,000 lifetime and $3,500 per year.
Liz had her hand up.
Liz, go ahead. Oh, there you go.
Just this is a different question. Is to do that with the fire, that if a family has a fire, automatically they can apply. What
Yes.
if we have a disaster like Saskatchewan has had so many wildfires and a whole community has gone? So is there a limit?
Good question, Liz. So Kev, you want to take this one?
I can, yeah.
There
actually
go.
is a policy within the guidelines for the Royal Purple or Elks Royal Purple Fund for Children that doesn't cover. We do not cover sort of natural acts or disasters. So anytime that there's a situation where, you know, there's an entire community that's lost their homes, we unfortunately just don't have the financial resources to cover everybody. So that's already in policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Liz, some additional kind of background on that is when it comes to a natural disaster, what happens is the Red Cross through the federal government have individual support mechanisms to help. Now, anybody that knows me, I am so non-political, it's not even funny. So I'm not, I'm telling you what the facts are, right? I think we have major gaps in all of our politicians helping across the country. So that's my disclosure. But when it comes to this, Liz, what happens is that anything that is a natural disaster, essentially with our fire fund, if that was open to that, it could actually break the fund for children. Yeah. So, but your question is perfect. So I'm going to give you guys something that's going to tug at your heart. So this committee essentially with our fire fund, and thanks for bringing that up again, Liz. So, you know, Kevin and I were on the phone last night talking till I don't know what time, but we got a call from St. John's, New Brunswick, and there was a row housing where the entire row housing was destroyed. And so we had 8 families with 24 children. And so our policy says that we will help families with kids up to $500, up to 3 kids per house. Just so everybody's aware of, you guys have just helped 24 children, and we have just sent $12,000 to help those 24 children in 8 different families. So Liz, your question, it's as if we talked in advance and I said, Liz, set me up with this question. But so that's why we can't do the natural disasters, because in these situations, there's not funding for these families, right? So again, through your hard work, we have just sent $12,000 to help 24 children who lost everything. So yeah, we're really proud of that. And so so there's an example where, and a testament to Kevin. So Kevin has the authority under the direction of this committee to issue. Oh, don't smile at me, right? So he's kind of give me that when he gives me a thumbs up, it's either a thumbs up or a middle finger. So, but so Kevin has the authority on behalf of the Fund for Children to issue those $500 payments up to $1,500 right away, quickly and efficiently to the lodge. Kev got the call yesterday, was on the phone with me within 15 minutes, and he just said, Hutch, it's 12 grand. Here's the story. I said, Kev, it's within the parameters. He says, yeah, but I wanted your okay. And I said, okay, well, thank you for calling me. You have my okay, but let's get the committee. And so our entire committee approved that, guys, within a very short window of time. So I appreciate that with Kevin, because even though he had the parameters, it wasn't normal. And so Kevin checked with me, and then we checked with the committee. So yeah, it's that fire fund has worked wonders, but just think of that 24 children that we're helping them with $12,000 going out there. So yeah, so it's great work by everybody. So
And just to give you an update, Hutch, I talked to the St. John's Elks Lodge this afternoon and told them that we were supporting it.
yeah,
They were extremely excited. We had the funds electronically transferred to St. John's, and they have already sent me a copy of the checks. So the checks are out the door and in the hands of the families. So
Yeah.
pretty cool.
yeah. And so our due diligence process on that is because it was a high volume. We asked for, because we were sending it right to the lodge to get it in the hands of the family right away. We then asked for confirmation from the lodge and a copy of all the checks issued to the families, right? So just so you know that the process of due diligence with this committee is to a T. We're very proud of that. So yeah, so thanks, Kevin. Kev doesn't like to get credit because, he's there, but look, for Christine, Gord, myself, it was, yeah, we're going to support. The work came back to Kevin. So you guys helped 24 kids. So when you lay your head on your pillow, that's the satisfaction you can have from tonight. Don't get me wrong. I like this application, but I like helping, 24 children. So any other questions on the application or anything else to do with the Fund for Children? And I noticed Darren's on there. So welcome, Darren. He wasn't there initially. Darren's on the Grand Executive and was integral on our committee last year. And I know I can go to Darren anytime I need anything. So thanks, Darren. Any other questions? Annie, did you have something? Oh, you're muted. Oh, okay. While Annie gets that working, does anybody else? We'll go to Colleen again. Go ahead, Colleen.
I just wanted to give a suggestion as a retired immigration officer to Robert in regards to the status for applicants. I would suggest that if a person is a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada, they should be eligible.
Yes.
Refugee claimants and temporary residents, which would include visitors, workers, and students. I don't think that they should be able to access the funds. But if another term that some people refer to permanent residents are a landed immigrant or a permanent resident. And once a person is a permanent resident, I think it's for 3 years, now, then they're eligible to apply for citizenship. But not everybody does apply. If their home country doesn't recognize dual citizens, it could be an issue that they don't want to take out Canadian citizenship, as it would affect their home citizenship. So just a suggestion.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you.
And we've got Annie now. Annie has now converted into Miles, so welcome.
He just changed his look. My mustache isn't as long as his. Just kidding. My heart is so full. Thank you so much to the committee. We've done amazing work, and to help all of those kids that had that row housing fire and help them that fast is miraculous. So the Elks of Canada makes miracles happen, and I'm thrilled and I'm so proud of everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Annie. Anyone else with any?
My phone you back. I'm just on the Zoom meeting. Okay. Quiet.
Any other questions from anybody or comments?
I just wanted to say that you guys have done a wonderful job, and from 24 pages to 13 is amazing. And I filled out to help people out the long form, so I'm looking forward to the short form.
Yeah, and let me know
That's
how
all.
long it takes you. I got it down to 20 minutes, Lynn. So.
Well, I'm just hoping I don't have to help anybody, but if
Yeah.
time comes, I will help them.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome work.
Thank you. Any other questions from anybody? Liz?
Just getting back to the application. So everything now is online. So the applicant can go online, fill out the application. They send me a copy because I'm on charities. If
We're
there's
not.
a question.
Sorry,
Oh,
Liz.
sorry.
I'm sorry. I
Go
didn't mean
ahead,
to.
Kevin.
I didn't mean to.
No, go
to cut
ahead.
you off there. We're not quite there yet, but that is
okay.
where we are headed. So, I think now that we've kind of there's a couple things that we need to clean up after going through the form today, and once that's done, then we need to figure out how to create exactly what you're talking about, Liz, where the applicant fills out their portion and then it comes to you. And then you're able to fill out your portion of the application and send it in. It sounds really simple. It's something that I think we have to sort of figure out a little bit, but that is our mandate, is to try and make sure that that is all online and very easily, fillable virtually.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and what you will see, Liz, is you will see in a very short period of time that other application pulled down. Okay, so once we update this, the other application will come down and this will be populated. The other thing that I'll let you know, and then I'm going to go to Christine because she's got her hand up. The other thing that you will know is that if you were able to join us 2 weeks ago on our Junior Elks conference call, where we launched the Junior Elks program across Canada, we actually built a subset of the site and documents that you can fill in, and it is so simple. So Liz, that's the way we're going. This one has a lot of moving parts. So because we are so satisfied with the application, we wanted to have this call to release it to everyone here. So people like Lynn, yourself, Randy, Guy, whoever's using this application has the 13 page, right? Has that right away. And so give us about a week to have the other one pulled down and this one up. And then rest assured, we're going to be working behind the scenes to try to get that in a fillable manner. It's a lot of work, like Kevin says, and it's but we're going to get it done.
This version is already up.
Oh, it is.
It's in the members portal. We replaced it just this week. So
there we go.
Yeah.
See that? He does that. He sets me up. So I tell you it's going to take a week and he's like, pow, it's done. Right? So good job.
Thank you.
So we've got Christine and Gord, who are two valued members of our committee. And Christine's been with Annie, Kevin, and I for many years. So she's an absolute gem, and we'll keep Gord too. So Christine, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Michael. One thing I wanted to just double check, was that St. John, New Brunswick or St. John's, Newfoundland? Because you said New Brunswick. I was led to believe it was Newfoundland.
St. John's 256.
That's Newfoundland.
Yeah, that's
That's Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And why I just wanted to say something. When I met with them as provincial president, one of their big concerns were we have put a lot of applications in for fire fund for children. Do you think they're going to cut us off? And I said, why are you asking that? And they said, because we've asked for a lot of money. And I said, so why are you asking for so much money? And what it is there's a lot of row housing. St. John's is a very old city. A lot of row housing. A lot of new people have moved into the city from all across the world. So when one unit goes on fire, it's a whole row house. So that's why their numbers were so high. And after we sat down and talked to them, I said, unless we tell you any different, go ahead.
Yeah.
And so they have. I'm really glad to see that. I'm not glad to see that the cases are the high as what they are, but it's really good to know that the Fund for Children is there. And Michael doesn't take the credit, but Michael does a lot of work on this whole committee, and Kevin does too. So let's put it there. Let's give them a big hands up, because those guys work so hard. They make our job very easy. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
So any other questions or comments for any, Lynn, I see your hand there. Oh, you're muted.
Mute. Is the fire letter on the web page?
The fire letter is there on the webpage. Yeah, there's a letter for you to send.
Where do you find that at? I went on today and I couldn't find it.
Kev, it's under the member portal under.
Yeah, it's a good. I don't know if I'd have to look it up, but I believe it's on there. And if it's not, Lane, it will be. If shoot me an email and I will make sure that you have it for sure.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow.
But if it's not on the if it's not on the member portal, we'll make sure that it is.
Okay, thank you very
right
much.
away here. Okay.
And what Lynn was asking about, just for anybody who's unaware, is the fire letter is a letter for you to provide to your local fire department that introduces the program, introduces support, and provides contact back to the lodge. So it draws that communication to our fire program and your individual lodge. It's a personalizable letter for you to send out. So, so that's there. We hope it's there. If not, it will be there. Any other questions or comments from anybody? So with that being said, we thank everybody. The application is already there. We're going to make these few grammatical changes. We look forward to your feedback. We will be sending out a Facebook blitz tomorrow to just thank you all for being on this call, letting people know that that application is available, and also to promote the support that we've been able to help, because it's important for you as members to know, well, we're the ones that approve this. We can only approve it because of your hard work. So I'm going to close this conference or this Zoom meeting the same way we started. We started out with this Fund for Children application with 3 goals. Number 1, to have compassion for the families. Number 2, to show a willingness to help and approve, not to deny. And number 3, to meet our regulatory requirements. So we appreciate each and every one of you for being on this call and being a part of this process. Our successes are as a result of the work you do. So please use that new application. Please encourage your lodge or anybody within your lodge to view this video. The extent of understanding the application works out to about 18 minutes of this video right at the beginning. So we thank you all and appreciate you for coming out. Okay, have a good night. Take care, everyone.
Bye.